Hi, I'm Gretchen Spiker with the City of Topeka.
And I'm India Yarborough with the Greater Topeka Partnership.
The Topeka Talk podcast is back for season 2 for more meaningful community conversations.
We've got a great lineup in store, and we're excited to have you along for the ride this season.
After a few months off over the holidays, we're excited to be back for season 2 of the Topeka Talk podcast.
We have so many great episodes in store for you this season, and there's no better way to kick things off than with the City of Topeka's very first Chief DEI Officer, Ernestor De La Rosa.
Ernestor started with the city in January and comes to Topeka from the city of Dodge City, Kansas, where he served in a variety of roles over the past 8 years, including Assistant City Manager, Human Resources Director, Assistant Finance Director, Mobility Manager, and more.
Ernestor, whose first language is Spanish, was born and raised in Mexico, and he immigrated to the United States at the age of 12. He's a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, recipient and is passionate about working in the immigration realm. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Ernestor.
Well, hello there. Thank you for having me.
We are so glad you're here joining us, and we have so much we want to learn from you, so we're just going to dive right in. So as the city's first Chief DEI Officer, what are you hoping to accomplish? What are some of your goals?
Sure. So a lot of pressure, right? It's an exciting time for the city of Topeka and the Topeka community, really. And so I'm very passionate about this topic or this work. And so as the DEI officer, I want to make sure that I accomplish or establish a robust DEI office for the city so that, we're not looking at this office just short term, but rather long term for the benefit of the residents.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we know you're just getting started in this brand new role, and you've talked about really standing up this office from the ground level. But could you explain to us and to those listening maybe, what the role of the city's Chief DEI Officer is exactly?
Sure. So, part of the critical or vital role of the DEI officer or the office really is implementing DEI strategies, proactive initiatives for the city and the community. And so we start by assessing what we are doing at the city, in the community, and then determine what the right plan or our plan would look like. To make it more welcoming, to make it more inclusive, to make sure that our employees feel like they're a part of the organization, that they belong, they're connected, and they're energized to work at the city.
So, Ernestor, some tangible examples of that. What could that be? Could that look like increased language services that the city offers, more translation when providing policies or just general information to the public? Is that something that the DEI office would look at?
Certainly. And so it'll take, obviously, a team effort. It's not just the DEI office, but rather the senior level and in all levels of the city. But those are really good examples, right? And those are low-hanging fruit for our office, increasing the translation services that we provide to make sure that we are serving the people of Topeka in all different communities. About 15% of the population of Topeka is Hispanic or Latino. So I would envision there is a certain percentage of that population that only speaks Spanish. And so how do we reach out to them, right? And so it's through the translation services. Holistically, we talk about a language access plan. It's a plan that is developed by the different organizations, in this case the city, to determine the level of translation and what documents or the level of translation is needed.
Right.
Wonderful. And, I think diversity, equity, and inclusion can mean different things to different people. So I'm curious, what does DEI mean to you? And maybe how has your view of DEI changed over the years?
Right. So really my experience has been firsthand and through my work in Dodge City, really. And so we focused in Southwest Kansas a lot on the welcoming and integration component of DEI. But DEI, as you mentioned, can mean a lot of things. It can mean ADA accessibility. It can mean LGBTQ plus community. It can mean, racial and cultural experiences or backgrounds. And so it's just a lot of things. And for us at the city to be inclusive, to be diverse, to be equitable is going to take an effort of the DEI office to not only build the infrastructure, but be very intentional on the different programs and initiatives that we put together.
And partnerships, right? We hear that all the
Exactly.
time. Partnerships are so important.
Right. Well, and I imagine in your role, there may be some of just, getting that buy-in, getting the community to rally around this cause. And I'm sure that will be important. And as you move forward, do you get that sense?
Oh, certainly. So one of the things the city manager's focus primarily is to kind of, as he says, get the house in order. And so from the DEI perspective. And then we will engage in working with the community on the DEI aspect and how the different programs and initiatives are put together for the benefit of our residents. And so in those conversations, it'll take partnerships not only with the nonprofit sector, but also the private sector, which would be part of either the DEI committee or the different initiatives or events that we put together.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it sounds like, kind of like momentum, the momentum plans that we've talked about. It's going to sort of be a community-led strategy, so to speak, which sounds really important.
Most certainly.
Yeah. Well, building on Gretchen's last question, we understand you were born and raised in Mexico, and before immigrating to the United States at 12 years old, such a young age. But how did you, or how did that experience and others you've maybe had over the years shape who you've become, and maybe why and how you choose to approach this work?
Right. So being the first generation immigrant or a deferred action for childhood arrivals, or otherwise known as DACA, has given me the experience of not taking anything for granted.
Yeah.
Right. I come from a developing country where the challenges and the hurdles are real. And my parents chose to migrate to the United States for a better life. And that's what I'm doing. And so I feel like I've been successful through my college and work career. I'm very passionate about public service, and I'm very passionate about making a difference for the community and the people around me. And so if I wanted to leave a legacy in my community or the city or my own personal career, I want to make sure that even if it's just a small thing of changing somebody's day or changing the outcomes or the quality of life of the community, I will be right there.
It's very inspiring. Thank you so much
is.
for sharing.
Yeah, I love that vein of service, that seems to run through your life and your work.
Right.
Exactly. And one of the things we try to do through this podcast is connect community members to some of the issues and stories that are impacting them, maybe in direct or indirect ways. Can you share with us how you hope to directly connect with members of the community as you become more ingrained in this position? I know you were saying earlier, we're focusing on the foundational, building the house level, but how can people engage with the office and maybe gain perspective on certain topics, whether it's, getting the word out about new initiatives or whatever that may look like?
Sure. So my intention first, other than assessing what we have and what we currently don't have at the city, is making sure that I have the time to meet the leaders of the community, the partners in the nonprofit organization or the private sector. And having those partnerships and leveraging perhaps the resources to be able to do the things that we want to do. But in terms of connecting with the residents or the community, it's not only going to take communication at different modes, whether it's social media or the traditional way of flyers and such, but also just getting out there and getting to meet them. There's nothing more important than actually listening to the community on their needs and challenges to make sure that we as a city deliver in addressing those needs or challenges, whether it's the unsheltered population, whether it's the immigrant and refugee community, or how do we partner with El Centro, who provides legal services in Topeka and around this community. And so if we have per se facilities that then we can bring the Guatemalan consulate or El Salvadoran consulate to bring those services to our residents who may need their passport from their home country, then the city is going to be right there to open the doors for any facilities that we own for them to be accessible for their residents.
Very grassroots level, yeah.
Well, and to dig into that a little bit more, diversity comes in so many forms, right? I mean, it may come through skin color, it may come through experience. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about how you really hope to connect with members all across the community, whether they're in communities of color or impoverished neighborhoods or, LGBTQ youth or unsheltered populations, like you've said. Can you kind of touch on that strategy moving forward to really make sure you're getting the full community scope, so to speak?
Right. So it's going to take me and the team, have a deputy director and 2 other departments that report to me, but it's going to take our team and obviously city leaders to serve on the different committees and boards and to not only build trust with those partners and residents, but also to be willing to do the work together. And so, obviously, we can't spread ourselves too thin, but we also want to be present and be seen where it matters. And so, in the perspective or the lens of DEI, we will be partnering with, El Centro, or we're going to be partnering with those agencies or nonprofit organizations that serve the unsheltered population. And so we want to make sure that not only our office is accessible, but we're also present when we are needed.
And Ernestor, you said something to me very recently that kind of stuck out to me, and it was that when people think of the city of Topeka, their local government, and they might need help with translating, they might need help with breaking down what might be a barrier or whatever that could look like, the idea would be that the city's DEI office is viewed as that place that person can go to. It is a safe space to access or resolve whatever the issue may be. And I thought that was a really great way to kind of summarize the role.
Yeah, so you want to be sort of the connector, right?
Yeah.
And so informally or formally. And so ever since I started my role with the City of Dodge City and now following in this role, I want to make sure that I'm viewed and our office is viewed as if the office that can help you. If we don't directly provide the service or have the answer to the question you're having, we may know the agency or the leader that has that resource or answer. And so I want to make sure that our office does that. And so if somebody comes into City Hall, a municipal court, and they have a language barrier, we're certainly, our office, going to be there to make sure that, 1, we hear them, 2, that we address that issue by either provide them an individual that knows the language or perhaps jumping on the language line to make sure that the language is available and their request is addressed.
Kind of a bridge builder in all sense of the term. Yeah. Well, we know that diversity, equity, and inclusion are core values for both the City of Topeka and the Greater Topeka Partnership. And like you just said, I mean, we're really understanding more and more that organizations, or our organizations, just like our community, are great, and they're even better when everyone has a voice and is heard and valued. And with that said, I mean, are there current DEI efforts maybe already in place that you hope to build on or expand on as you work to fulfill those core values?
Sure. So I come to the city of Topeka right in time when obviously we have new leadership with Stephen Wade and his concept and buy-in of implementing high-performance organizations. And one of the biggest components there is this idea of making sure that we provide the conditions of belonging and being connected, right? Being part of the organization, making sure that our employees feel like we want them in the room when we call them into a meeting, because they are a critical component of our organization and our overall service. And so making sure that we do that, but also extending that in the community, making sure that our residents, whether are new immigrants or new refugees to the community, making sure that they have all the services they need. And so there's going to be different initiatives that we are already talking about. And we hope to follow up and provide that environment where Topeka is seen as a more welcoming community.
And India, I know that sense of belonging is very critical and central to a lot of the momentum strategies that we've discussed in previous episodes. So that's really another kind of connector of those same values that we're seeing across many organizations in the city. And Ernestor, I know that you will serve in this role as the LGBTQ plus liaison, as well as, the coordinator for the ADA Advisory Council. And both of those are, I think existing philosophies, existing groups within the organization that I can't wait to see how you build upon to make us even more inclusive. So
no
it's
pressure,
very exciting.
Right? No, certainly. And again, it's part of belonging and providing those conditions, as I like to say, is making sure that we give the space and the opportunity for those groups to have a voice at the table too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, to kind of bring things home here, we understand you recently moved to Topeka, haven't been here too long, but what are your thoughts on the community so far? And what are you most looking forward to about living in the capital city?
Sure. So I love Kansas. I've been here for almost, what I would say, probably 18 years. Obviously, I lived in the other corner of the state, but Topeka overall is very progressive, and there's a lot of momentum going right now. And I hope to, actually, I'm part of the team now to hopefully continue that momentum and really deliver good things and improve or enhance the quality of life for all Topekans. So happy to be here and really excited.
Yeah.
And Ernestor, are there any questions or topics that you feel like we haven't quite dove into, I guess I would say,
Right. So I recently been in contact with some of the folks at Greater Topeka Partnership, and the other conversation that we often forget is the private sector, right? And so looking at the equity lens on the area of business or economic development, and how we help or assist those businesses either owned by immigrants or people of color. And so that's another area that I'm really eager to learn more and hopefully provide some insight as to how we reach those or that sector of the population, and how we again provide a welcoming city or community where if you want to open a business, you can do so here.
Right. Well, and the Greater Topeka Partnership, of course, has our Chief Equity and Opportunity Officer. So hopefully there will be some collaboration going on there, along with the Office of Minority and Women Business Development. So lots of opportunities for partnership, for collaboration, like you've mentioned. So that's very exciting.
Most certainly, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And thanks for sharing those final thoughts, Ernestor. We cannot wait to hear about all of the exciting things that your office will accomplish in 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, no, really excited. And I have a great team. Manny Munoz has been a longtime city employee, and so he's right there with me. And so he's very passionate and really excited about this initiative.
And before we sign off here at the end, if folks want to get in touch, how might they do that?
Sure, they can call City Hall. Also, they can go on our website to search for the DEI office. Our contact information should be there.
Perfect.
Thanks so much, Ernestor.
Thank you.
This has been a wonderful conversation. Been great having you on. So thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We hope you'll join us next time.
You can catch new episodes of Topeka Talk Community Conversations the first week of each month.